democracy sounds like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy sounds like.
This is what democracy sounds like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy sounds like.
This is what democracy sounds like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy sounds like.
This is what democracy sounds like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy sounds like.
This is what democracy sounds like. Cap life sentences. 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 Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the
All right, we're almost there.
power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't
Say
stop.
what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop.
Say what?
Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people don't stop.
Say what? Say what?
Don't stop.
Say what?
Don't stop.
Say what?
Don't stop.
Say what?
Don't stop. Bring our families home.
Bring our families home!
Bring our families home.
Bring our families home!
Break the chain.
Break the chain!
Break the chain.
Break the chain!
Reform the DOC.
Reform the DOC.
Reform the DOC.
Reform the DOC.
Give us justice.
Give us justice.
We need justice.
We need justice!
Give us justice.
Give us justice.
We need justice.
We need justice.
We demand justice.
We demand justice.
We demand justice.
We demand justice.
Justice for the inmates.
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 All right, we're almost there. Just around this corner up here.
Justice for the inmates.
Justice for the inmates.
Cap life sentences.
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 We want justice.
We want justice.
We need justice.
We need justice.
We want justice.
We want justice.
We need justice.
We need justice.
We demand justice. We demand justice.
We demand justice.
Justice for the inmates.
Justice for the inmates!
Justice for the inmates.
Justice for the inmates!
Break the chain.
Break the chain!
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 Open up those prison doors.
Open up the prison doors!
Let our family go.
Let our family go!
We want justice.
We want justice!
We need justice.
We need justice!
Break the chain.
Break the chain!
Open up those prison doors.
Open up the prison doors!
Bring our family home.
Bring our family home!
We want justice.
We want justice!
We need justice.
We need justice!
Break the chain.
Break the chain!
Open up those prison doors.
Open up the prison doors.
Bring our family home.
Bring our families home.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences. Cap life sentences. Cap life sentences. Adam.
Cap life sentences. Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences. sentences.
Cap life 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 sentences. Cap life sentences.
No.
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 No more handcuffs.
No more handcuffs.
No more shackles.
No more shackles.
No more handcuffs.
No more handcuffs.
No more shackles.
No more shackles.
No more handcuffs.
No more handcuffs.
No more shackles.
No more shackles.
No more handcuffs.
No more handcuffs.
No more shackles.
No more shackles.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Open up the prison doors.
5, 6, 7, 8.
We don't want no prison state.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't want no prison state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't want no prison state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't want no prison state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't want no prison state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't want no prison state. Open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't want no prison state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open up the prison doors. 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't want no prison state.
Cap life sentences.
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 Bring our families home.
Bring our families home.
Bring our families home.
Bring our families home.
20 years is enough.
20 years is enough.
30 years is enough.
30 years is enough.
Bring our families home.
Bring our families home.
Give us justice.
Give us justice.
We need justice.
We need justice.
Give us justice.
Give us justice.
We need justice.
We need justice.
Cap life sentences.
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 Juvenile lifers deserve another chance.
Juvenile life is deserving of a chance.
Juvenile lifers deserve another 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 chance.
Life means life is too costly.
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 Children of incarcerated parents,
Children of incarcerated parents.
they need their moms and dads.
They need their moms and dads.
Children of incarcerated parents,
Children of incarcerated parents.
they need their moms and dads.
They need their moms and dads.
Bring our families home.
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 Break the chains.
Break the chain.
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 Reform the DOC.
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 We want justice.
We want justice.
We need justice.
We need justice.
Give us justice.
Give us justice.
Justice for the inmates.
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 Camp life sentences.
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 All right, y'all gotta excuse me because I'm hoarse and I'm emotional because I am a mother of 3 young black boys, and I also have 2 young black women that I am raising. I think this is so beautiful because it just shows that all of the things that's pushed out into the media, we walked this far. We walked past the news station and nobody wanted to acknowledge us. But I'm standing here today for the support of my cousin because I have a 12-year-old son. And you tell me that if he hangs out with the wrong people, it could cost him the rest of his life. I'm not okay with that. As a mother, as a cousin, as a niece, as an aunt, as a black woman, we deserve better. And if they won't acknowledge us, we're going to force them to see us. We're here today not only as black people, but as white people and as united people to say, we're not going to stand for this shit. You're not going to take our babies from us and we be okay with it.
Right.
That's all I had to say. Anybody else? Anybody else? Because I'm feeling really like my adrenaline, and I'm seeing y'all and I'm feeling y'all, and I appreciate y'all because my cousin has been sitting behind bars for 22 years. Terrence Reyes. Say his name.
Terrence Reyes.
Say his name.
Terrence Reyes.
Say his name.
Terrence Reyes.
He doesn't deserve to spend the rest of his life because he made a bad decision to stick around when he tried to help. He tried to help. Not one time in his court case did anybody stand up for him and say that he tried to help. We're standing for Terrence today, and we're his voice to say, we're your help. When you didn't have the help for you, we're standing for you today as your help, as united people. On the front line of the governor's home to say, if you're not going to listen, we're going to make you. because you're not going. This system is not going to keep taking our babies, our families, our fathers, our sons, our mothers. We're not going to let you have them. Put a cap on life.
Cap life sentences. Cap life sentences. Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Cap life sentences.
Okay, I just saw you get a close up on this sign. I just want to explain to people so they know what this is. This is a list of inmates that has died behind bars when the prison system could have sought justice and gave them a second chance. This is how our system is made. When they say we die, it's not fair. It's not fair. We're going to stand for not only Terrence Reyes, we're going to stand for all these people that lost their lives behind prisons because the system didn't see or fit them worthy of a second chance. I love all y'all, and I appreciate everybody that's standing right here. Because that walk, baby, that wasn't no little short walk we just took. And we took that walk together. So it's
Cap life sentences.
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 Reform, rehabilitate, release.
Reform, rehabilitate, release.
Reform, rehabilitate, and release.
Reform, rehabilitate, release.
Cap life sentences.
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 Okay, I just want to say one more thing, y'all, and I swear whoever else want to take this mic, y'all can, because my voice is gone. I just want to say to our governor, directly to you, from the people, we gave you your vote. We stood for you. When are you going to stand for us? Because as of right now, you're in hiding. I understand. But we are not going to run. You can run. You cannot face us right now out of your fear. But we're standing here today, fearless, to say we want reform. We want justice. We want a cap on life. Juveniles' life matter. And everybody deserves a second chance.
Come on, Denny. Okay. Wait. Spray it first. Right here.
All right. I guess I'm going to give that camera.
Just me.
So this letter is from Terrence Reyes, who she was just talking about. On the behalf of the family and friends of the incarcerated and Democratic voters of the state of Michigan, we are writing this letter to inform you, our elected officials, to the unique situation faced by Democratic voters this election. For years, we've been overlooked and forgotten, much like our family members have been incarcerated for years by a system of systematic racism, issues that is proportionally skewed to our political priorities. And it seems that the Republican Party doesn't share this issue. Because as a race, we aligned ourselves with political parties that best serve us and the issues that are relevant to our communities. Republican voters doesn't seem to face this issue for the simple fact that they don't have as many family members in prison as we do. For years, this was the case, and now that we are still faced with the same issues in 2020. We are again faced with the decision, who has our best interests in mind? The issues of mass incarceration, the issues of wrongful convictions, the issues of systematic racism in our society, issues that were never addressed by past administrations, must be addressed by Democratic leaders in order to continue to receive our votes and support. Too many black and brown families, as well as poor white families, have been destroyed by these issues and are continuing to be destroyed by this very day. As we are witnessing them being played out in the media and on social media, one of the laws that need to be changed is the state of Michigan. In the state of Michigan is the extremely controversial felony murder law. This law accounts for wrongful convictions of individuals who had no knowledge of another's intention to harm or take the life of another human being, and yet holds them responsible for the loss of life if they had anything to do with any crime leading up to the loss of life, taking away key elements of the murder statute in Michigan. And by doing so, the threshold for the prosecution, and therefore giving them the opportunity to prove not that an individual actually committed or even participated in taking of another life, but anyone on the list of underlying crimes, any one of the list of underlying crimes. While trained police officers sworn to protect our communities are shooting and killing our people, are never charged or face conviction for their crimes. How is this fair? Another issue is placing cap on life sentences and doing away with mandatory sentences. An individual that is present during the commission of a crime which a person loses their life is automatically given life in prison without the possibility of parole, meaning he will have to spend the rest of his or her life in prison without ever having killed or in some cases harmed a single person. Michigan lifers are serving life sentences with the likes of serial killers and terrorists. And all through Michigan, although Michigan is not a capital punishment state, many lifers die in prison, serving out their life sentences, most of which are aider and abettors, not even the actual perpetrators of the crime. How aiding and abetting law in the state is another law that is being disproportionately being used to convict black and brown and poor white men and women. Michigan prisoners are serving more time than any other state, and black and brown people are at the top of the list. As a result of overcharging at prosecutor levels, over sentencing by judges at the court level, and then being constantly flopped by the parole boards when they become eligible. We are asking, no, we are demanding that you address these issues. And here's the cries for change of the system that has never worked to build us up. Our education has never been up to par with the neighboring communities. Our children have never been given a fair chance for success or access. We are criminalized and stereotyped, accused and demeaned. So in order for us to feel as if we can continue to move forward, we need to take action by taking back our control over this election and not voting blindly by showing a loyalty to the particular party just because we feel we are Democratic or Republican. We need action by our leaders our elected officials, starting on the local level and extending on to the White House. We need to vote for the us and not the U.S. to finally notice us as one of them. This is from Terrence Reyes, one of the young men that we're talking about that's been incarcerated by the abiding and abetting law. This young man has testimony, Governor, testimony in the courtroom of people, including one of the victims, say, I remember him there, but I don't remember him doing anything. I remember him there, I don't remember him doing anything. And still receive life in prison without the possibility of parole at the tender age of 18. We're asking you to look into this. We're asking people to start making a stand. So often, we just go through the motions and we go along with the system. We go along with the good buddy clubs. Somebody got to start having character. Somebody got to be willing to stand against the grain and be willing to do different. Be willing to change the law. The same law that was changed years ago to cause this. We need to start making changes, and we're asking you to be a part of it.
Yes. Fred, thank you. No, yeah, he's last.
Okay.
Good. All right. Now my hard part is trying to speak after these two. They already especially hard. They already got me emotional. My hard part is going to be trying to read my letter. Okay, my name is Marjorie Torrance. I was asked to write this letter for several prisoners and their families. A little about me, I'm on the NLA State Board, the National Lifers of America, 124.org, and the www.adolescentredemptionproject.org. You can view these young people on these other profiles. Starting off with one of the dearest to my heart, Terrence Reyes, is incarcerated for over 20 years for a crime he did not commit. He was charged with 10 life sentences because he never left his baby brother's side. So if someone is just there, and all the victims, even co-defendants, said that Terrence did nothing. So I had to watch both of my teenage sons behind bars for 23 years. And like I said, this one, he didn't do anything. He was just considered an aided and abettor. So that's why we're here to fight. We're trying to fight for the mass incarceration in capital life. If you can see, this is for her, if you can see it in your heart to grant clemency to my son and these few young men and women listed below, a few of them deserve a second chance in freedom. I'm listing off names now. One is Josh Puckett. His number is 250-645. Eddie Gee, 196-523. Michael Thompson, 176-309. Travis Norris, 318-470. Keith Stinson, 196-868. James Murphy, 266-320. Randy Young, 309-418. Charles Goodard, 210-437. Bakari Turner, 165-812. John Jackson, 201-286. Kundi Burgess, 324-754. Adrian Orr, 255-442. Ronald Johnson, 248-488. Anthony Wyatt, 375-254. Dwan Ainsworth, 607-642. Donovan Haynes, 938-738. Kwani Kilpatrick, and several women at the Huron Correctional Women's Facility. Sybil Paget, I guess. Carol Giles, Anita Cromer, Dorothy Humphrey, Marcia Whelan, Melissa Sweeney, Lori Towell, Sharon Zachary, Pamela Vance, Amy Black, Deborah Smith, Mary Williams, several more deserving to be released. The reason today is to ask the governor to stop mass incarceration and listen to the voices of our people and to cap life sentences so many well-deserving people. There are several medically ill incarcerated. It's been over 25 years and costing the state millions of dollars. Watch them die behind bars. Most of them are no longer a threat to society. Several are only aiding and abetting and spending the rest of their lives behind bars for something someone else did. I would like someone to know that I feel for the victims' families because I am on both sides of the justice here. Our family suffered loss of my nephew, Donquell Jackson, to a violent death 3 years ago. We are still mourning his loss, so we know their pain. I am also a firm believer in people can change. I have watched my teenage boys grow up behind bars to strong and young, intelligent young men. One was 16 years old, and he is 40 now. Oldest is 18, and now he's 42. At the time, they were both impressionable boys and giving into peer pressure. But none of these young men and women deserve to be incarcerated for their natural life. So in closing, thank you, Ms. Whitmer. Please use your executive orders and grant these people clemency, cap life sentence, and mass incarceration. I would like to special thanks to helping us put this together is Rise Up Michigan and Trina Hope, Mothers United for Black Lives Matter, Becky, Humanity Against Fascism, the National Lifers of America, and the National Lifers Association.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Governor Whitmer. I hope you're listening wherever you may be tonight. My name is Ashley Lucas, and I am the child of someone who served 20 years in a Texas prison. I am also a professor at the University of Michigan, and I work with the Prison Creative Arts Project, which is a program that enables me to go into Michigan prisons when we're not in the state of a terrible pandemic. We go inside physically every week, all year long, to see about people in prison and to collaboratively create art programming with them. So I'm a person with lived experience of what's happening to people in prison, both in my own family and as a person who volunteers regularly in Michigan prisons and has done so for many years. I am really, really humbled and honored to be here today as part of this protest, because this protest is made up of people's families, of people who know intimately that when someone goes to prison, it's not just the person who's locked behind the walls who serves time. It's their family, their community, their neighborhood, the generations that will follow them who are embedded in the trauma caused by incarceration. What we are doing to people here in the state of Michigan by locking up so many beautiful people is devastating to our families, to our communities, to our future generations, to our economy, to our public health. Prisons are public health disasters. Right now, I know, Governor Whitmer, that you have been very concerned about the COVID crisis, and I actually have immense respect for your response to the crisis in so many arenas. But I have to say there is blood on your hands for not sending home the people in prison who are not a danger to society, particularly elderly people, particularly lifers. Anybody who spends any time at all going into prisons and really talking to the people who live there knows without a shadow of a doubt that lifers are a trustworthy group of people. I know that sounds counterintuitive to folks who don't actually know people in prison, but the lifers are the men and women who run the joint. They are the people who had to be there for decades. They are invested in having a better life. They're invested in not seeing more young people throw their lives away. They're invested in a better world for themselves and for their families, in being well prepared to go home someday, even those who won't ever get the chance to go home. They're actually investing more in the world outside than a lot of the people I know in Ann Arbor, where I live today, are invested in their communities. We're here today at this, or at least I'm here today, I don't know about everybody else, because men and women serving time in prison said this is the place to be. We are organizing a protest. We want you to be there. Can you imagine how hard that is to do from inside a prison? When you don't have the ability to be out here in the world and get the permits and make all the plans, to do all of that from inside a cage is a remarkable achievement. I wish that my University of Michigan students were that resourceful. And actually, I have so much profound gratitude and respect for the men and women I meet in prisons through the Prison Creative Arts Project, because they do a lot more to teach my students than I do. I could talk all day long in a classroom, and it would never have the level of impact that getting to know and collaborate with and meaningfully recognize the humanity of people in prison does to teach young people who are at the premier institution in the state of Michigan for higher education. I'm telling you right now that the students who come through our program will tell you years later, the program is 30 years old now, and so we have alumni who are 30 years out from graduating from our program, and they still come back to tell us that their encounters with people in prison taught them more than anything else they ever learned in college, because the people in prison helped them to understand things like how systemic power works, things like racism, things like why diversity of life experience, diversity of opinion, diversity of all kinds, cultural and otherwise, class certainly, that all of those things teach us more when we work in community with a lot of people who are not like ourselves than we learn when we're just with the same old people all the time. And I think it's going to take a lot of us working together across the boundaries that divide us to make real change in this world. Governor Whitmer, you need these lifers. You need them to come home and be political organizers. You need them to tell the world why COVID-19 is as dangerous as it really is and how to protect ourselves, because they've seen on the front lines in prison all of these people dying who did not have to die. I would be so grateful to have any of the lifers that I've met in Michigan prisons as my next door neighbors. I wish you would send them home. Send them back to their families, to the people who love them. We are well behind the rest of the world here in the United States in continuing to have the death penalty and continuing to have natural life sentences. Most other countries in the world actually cap life sentences around 15 or 20 years. So it is not unreasonable for us to be here today to ask you to put a cap on life sentences. It is not an outrageous or a new idea. In fact, prisons are a culturally cultivated idea. They are not natural. They are not good for us. They do not make us safer. They actually make us a lot less safe. So I'm asking you today, Governor, to invest in the health and safety of all of your people, including those who are living inside the walls. They are just as deserving of safety and health and their families and freedom to make their own choices as any of the rest of us. Please, listen to the families who gathered here today and send these people home.
Cap life sentences!
This is our last speaker.
We are here because inmates' lives matter. Inmate lives matter. Inmate lives matter. Inmate lives matter.
Inmate lives matter.
Inmate lives matter!
I would like to thank Protestors Marching and all of those Black Lives Matter chapters that organized this, because this has been something on my mind for quite some time. And I thought that I was probably the only one that felt that such a protest was well needed. But I want to take the time to thank everybody here, because a lot of times people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, our heroes, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, Ida B. Wells, they get all the credit. But in reality, it's people like this young sister right here that are the real heroes, the ones who are not sitting at home. All of us could have been at home. This the last hot days of summer. It was almost tempting for me, but we decided to come here for a just cause. So I want to thank you all for coming here and taking the time out for speaking up about an issue that the public needs to know. Not only just the people here, but the people that's watching us on Facebook now, all of our friends that are pushing the like buttons. Your like buttons means a lot to us because it encourages us and it motivates us to keep moving on. So I want to thank all of you that are watching us on social media. My name is Dennis Boatwright. I was incarcerated 24 years straight from 1989 to December 2013. So it was almost 25 years. And some of the people, such as Terrence Reyes, we call him insane. Tyrone, we call him insane. And we also talked about Malijah, Eddie G, and many people that's on that. I can probably imagine I know many people on that card right there because in prison we all go by nicknames. So as many of them I know. And when I was incarcerated, I met Eddie G, an insane in a maximum security prison. I was put in there because they said that my thoughts were a threat to the security of the prison, meaning that I was too much of a positive influence. I didn't do anything to nobody. So I understand your grief and how you feel about your son. Now is the time. We're living in United States is experiencing a racial reckoning. On one side, we have Trump supporters. The ones that are overt and the ones are private in their homes, but support him nevertheless. On the other side, we have Black Lives Movement and many people that are sympathetic towards the Black Lives Movement. And we never, there's only been a few occasions when the United States have been polarized to a point where you almost have to take sides. Either you with Trump or you're not with Trump. If you're with Black Lives Matter, you're not with Trump. We're in a polarized time. And when I say this, they say that some of the best thinking, some of the best solutions come out during a crisis, when everything seems like it's going to be out of control. This is when you get the Socrates. This is when you get the Aristotle. This is when you get the Malcolm X's, during times like this. So I want to, the young sister mentioned that, we were walking past the news station, pretty quiet. She said they didn't even acknowledge us. They're not going to acknowledge us because some of them, including some of the news people who should be here covering this, they're making money off of it. If they're not directly, but they're buddies and friends. So they do not want to cover this. So don't feel bad if they don't acknowledge you. But I do acknowledge you, and all the people out here, and all the people on Facebook, and all the beautiful people that I've met in different cities. They acknowledge you. Because I'm going to be actually honest with you. I'm from Detroit. I'm born and raised in Detroit, and the mayor has many times tried to call me for a meeting. I don't want to talk to a meeting. I don't want to talk to him. Some of the activists feel like it's an honor to meet the Detroit mayor. I feel like it's a dishonor for him to meet me because he's not going to fulfill any of the issues and demands that I have. So don't feel bad if we don't have the big media outlets.
All right.
But I also would like to thank the person here that's representing the press, that have the decency and the American spirit to come here and show the world what's really going on in the Michigan prison.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing, and I'm going to get to the point, what we're here for. There was an incident prior to us marching here where there was two groups, falling out. People got mad, some people were upset. But I want to tell you this. You have to expect that. We are all emotionally invested in this. We are passionate about what we believe in, and they are passionate about what they believe in. So misunderstandings are going to occur. They're going to occur. And that doesn't make us look bad because nobody fought each other. Nobody went to jail. But you're going to have that. And I'm going to tell you this. I was on the day that the police showed footage of Jeff Blake getting shot 7 times in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Me and my wife were there. I was in the night when they started uprising in Minnesota over George Floyd's murder. In Minneapolis and St. Paul, I was there. I just came.
That's all right, we can hear you.
Okay, I just came last week, Tuesday, and I think I can handle it. I just came from last Tuesday and last Friday. I was in Louisville, Kentucky for Breonna Taylor. I went to the apartment, the actual apartment where they killed her at, and the Breonna Plaza. So the point I'm trying to say is you're going to see a lot of things happening, a lot of controversy. And I'm going to tell you this, if you were startled by what happened at the pre-rally, you're not ready to be an activist. Because when you go to real protests, you're going to have the police shooting at you. They're going to be shooting tear gas at you. They're going to be using pepper spray at you. They're going to knock some of your eyes out with rubber bullets. So if you're not ready to sacrifice, to get hurt, and possibly go to jail, you're not ready to be an activist. Many people tell me, after I did the 24 years, I came to college, got college degrees and everything, just to see what they were teaching in those colleges and to inspire other prisoners. I started a business. I got a medical transportation company. But the point I'm trying to say is this. People say, Dennis, you don't supposed to be here. You're making money. You got a good house, cars. You got a beautiful young wife. Why are you here? I done had other prisoners who have gotten out told me, man, that's in the past. Leave that alone, man. We got to move forward. So the point I'm trying to say is this, and I always tell them this. I'm like, I got the Harriet Tubman spirit. When Harriet Tubman escaped and got her freedom, what did she do? She went back in there 17 or 19 times. So I tell them, this is what the tradition, this is what my spirit is about. This is what my spirit about. And it is an honor, really, to say any good thing about, and I'm going to tell you about Elijah, because I'm in a cell with them. We eat together, look, ramen noodle soup, all of those little things. Elijah, Eddie G. He was the political educator in there. He got STG, got Senate Max joints, just because he's giving people like insane. Literature. Very good man, and he's one of the very few that's still incarcerated that has not given up. Normally, when you get to your 20th year, your back start bending over. You start giving up. But Eddie G did not give up.
All right.
He did not get up. And the same with insane. I'd like to make this little anecdote about insane. He's very dear to me, by the way, at first, because we both short and everything. But you know what? I knew who Insane family was. Just about how they talk, especially her, best about her energy. And his mom, Insane, just like that. And despite me and him being short, we used to be, we played basketball. We loved it. So they used to put us on the best players. They all 6 feet and, 6'6". But me and Insane, we used to be on it. But the point is, he's a man of high energy, and he's a man of passion. And I'm not surprised that he started this. It's just that we only know each other's by nicknames. They call me Imhotep in there. None of y'all people, I ain't never heard of that name. But that's what they call me. Okay, she does. She does. So all I know is Insane by Insane. For all these years, I'm trying to look, when I get out, I want to save money and stuff. I'm like, where Insane at? But that's not his name. I'm all on Otis. But that's the point here. But the point is this, is that we're in a racial reconciliation. That's who it is. And we got to take advantage of this because the whole world is focused on Black Lives Matter. What we want to do is we want to make inmate lives matter become synonymous with Black Lives Matter because they are both the same. So we got to take advantage of it now because we may not never get this moment again to another 60 years. Everybody's attention. It was a time when I got out of prison, I bought me a Black Lives Matter, shirt. And people used to look at me like I'm this big radical or something. Now everybody wearing. Now it's become fashionable. I got pictures of me on Facebook 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I got a Prisoner Lives Matter. People used to see me, even some activists, and they used to think that I shouldn't be wearing that shirt. I shouldn't be wearing that shirt. But these are things that been on our mind. So we have to push this Black Lives Matter, this inmate lives matter, while the world is watching. Because once this election cycle over, perhaps we'll never hear about Black Lives Matter again. They won't be covering it. So we got to keep the pressure on them. Keep the pressure on them. This is not a party. Now, we're going to talk about the prison system. And I have to put some context to this. For anybody who didn't know, Black people were brought over here to make other people money. That's why we were brought over here. That's why we were brought over here. And I'm going to tell you this. The Michigan Department of Correction, the entire U.S. criminal justice system, the entire U.S. criminal justice system, the entire prison system, and particularly the Michigan Department of Correction, MDOC. Did you know that they worse than Donald Trump? Donald Trump looked like a Boy Scout compared to some of those wardens, some of those people that are sentenced, rated as insane for life. They're way worse than Donald Trump. And by the way, he's a monster himself. They're way worse than him. And I'm going to tell you this, it's been like that. No matter what political party is occupying the White House. It's always been like that. I don't care if you had John Kennedy. I don't care if it was Richard Nixon in office. I don't care if it's Ronald Reagan in office. I don't care if it was Bill Clinton in office. George Bush in office. Obama in office. Trump in office. It's fundamentally been the same. It's been fundamentally the same because they make money. And how did this prison start? Let's get to the origin. Well, the word police. The police department started by people catching Black people who wanted to attain their freedom. And they would build cages and institutions to put them in. That's how the police department started for Black people. And then what happened after that? Once slavery was over, and remember we were brought here for money, to put money in other people's pocket. And that motive is still here today. But what happened after Black people became so-called free? Well, they start coming up with these convict lease programs. They just freed millions of Black people off the plantation. And then what they do after that? Now, we Black, we don't have no jobs, don't own anything, barely can speak proper English at all. They would arrest any Black person that didn't have a job and put him in jail in those prisons. And what would they do? They would work them. Like the sister said, they would work them. And they would hire them out. We're talking about millions, hundreds of thousands of people. They would hire them out to companies. Some of those companies are still here today. They would hire them out. And this practice was so lucrative to the point that, did you know that the state of Alabama, 73% of its revenue came from convict leasing? Black people. Black people. 73% of entire state's revenue was come from convict leasing and peonage and many other different things like that. So this is why we here. The motivations are still here. Then we get the War on Drugs by Ronald Reagan. This when, before that, prisons started being used to try to silence political prisoners like Geronimo Pratt, Assata Shakur, Jalil Muntaqim, Emil Jamil Alamin, all of these people. This is what the prison was used for. But then it still had a profit motivation. So we get in the 80s, we got Ronald Reagan locking people up on a so-called war on drugs. But he didn't tell you that his office of the CIA was spreading the drugs and the gun in the black community. He left that part out. He left that part out. He was giving young, unsuspecting black teenagers any type of artillery they wanted, any type of drugs they wanted, low cost. Everything that I'm saying is documented. And one of these big stories was brought out by the San Francisco newspaper. I'm not making this stuff up. So prison is a lucrative business. You have whole places like Ionia, Michigan, Jackson, Michigan. These are prison towns. And most of the people look just like me. So we have to keep this in mind. And that profit motivation is still today. But what happened? We come up in the 90s. When people start realizing that the CIA and the FBI are complicit in the pharmaceuticals, giving people all these opioids and everything for free. People start realizing that, and then what happened? Something else happened. Your friend, Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, of all people, the 1994 crime bill extended the death penalty, even for people who didn't even kill anybody. 3 strikes. Teenagers are on there now. 3 strikes and you out. Joe Biden. Joe Biden. And some of us call him Uncle Joe. So it's not just the Republicans. It's not just the Republicans. All of them have a stake in this. So you have mass incarceration. This is how I get locked up. I'm in jail. I was supposed to be manslaughter. I was supposed to be 4 years. I do 24 years in prison. Some of the white inmates that were in me, some of my bunkies, they got second-degree murder. They get out in 6 or 7 years. These are things that we're seeing. We're not making these up. This sister is not crying for no reason. There's reason for it here. So Joe Biden and some of these liberal Democrats, blue blood Democrats, they are responsible for that. Now we come up. And here's the irony of this. We have a person that championed the 1994 crime bill. And believe it or not, that's all we know him as. 47 years he's been in Congress. That's all we know him by is the 1994 crime bill. And his running mate. Now we're here for Inmate Lives Matter.
She locks up people too.
The brother took it right out my mouth. See, we're trying to get a vice president that was a prosecutor she rose high in the political rankings because of how many blacks and people of color and poor people she done locked up. Thousands of them. That's Kamala Harris. That's what we're messing with. That's what we're dealing with. But as concerned citizens, we must be sharp. We must be vigilant. And in closing, we must become somewhat disillusioned at what's going on. People want our votes. People want our votes. And Governor Whitmer, I see that your camera is on live. This is the time to make the Democratic Party the true Democratic Party. You can do something right now. You can do something right now
and your party can do something right now. What can you do? You can put a cap, a 25-year cap on life sentences. You can put, as it used to be, before this so-called war on drugs, before that ominous crime bill was passed. Before that crime bill was passed. Before that crime bill was passed.
Ma'am, there's an officer right around the corner.
That's fine. No, this is my goddamn neighborhood.
Yeah, this is our streets too because we pay
No,
taxes
it's not
just
your
like you
goddamn
do.
street. You
Why
don't
are
fucking live here.
Why are you so upset, ma'am?
Because this is my neighborhood. It's our street too. I would love to, but my daughter's fucking wondering why people are fucking taking to goddamn Capitol Hill.
In prison.
Ma'am,
Stand here and learn why.
your reaction to people quietly talking in front of a
No,
camera.
but this isn't quiet. This is
I
not quiet.
assure you, ma'am, that you are not hearing us in your house.
Okay, maybe I should have started back a little bit.
Pregnant women to prison. We want the government to stop giving prisoners indiscriminate sentences like
I
a
will
one-to-one,
believe in
where
that,
you can play
but
with them a
God
little
damn
bit
it,
based
this
upon
is
the
our
demand
fucking
of
neighborhood.
our Department of Corrections.
Come protest in my
We
neighborhood.
want fair
I don't want to protest in anybody's goddamn neighborhood.
Go home.
I would love to
We
go
doing a
home.
good job because somebody mad at us. Because
You're not
they
going to get
mad at
anywhere.
us.
Don't
We're
live
not
here?
doing our job.
Really? Don't live here? I fucking pay taxes. So do I. So do I. Get the fuck out of my neighborhood. Get the fuck out of here.
Ma'am,
Go.
You're actually making more of. You're actually making more of a scene.
Yeah, I will make a scene. I'm sick of this shit. Mom, back the fuck off. I pay
Yep.
taxes on the street too. But no, I'm pissed. Because the shit keeps going on in my fucking neighborhood. And I'm all done with it. Take it down to the Capitol.
Unfortunately, we can't, ma'am, because the militia likes to try to shoot everybody. So,
But yet we've got fucking this
This
going
is
on.
because we had a threat tonight, and the officers know exactly what's going on. LPD is in support of this.
Mom, don't touch me. No, I'm fucking over this shit. I'm over fucking Trump. I'm over all this shit.
Then get out there, man, and spread the word. Just
Well,
like the
but
rest
don't
of
do
us.
it in my fucking neighborhood.
It's gonna happen in your neighborhood whether you like it or not. The only thing you can control is the only thing you can control. Yes, we're gonna have about 16,000 people watching. Ma'am, if you don't like it, then you should advocate for reform for the governor not to live in the residential neighborhoods. If you don't like it, then talk to your neighbor.
How? What the fuck was going on 4 years ago then when fucker face didn't even fucking live here?
I wasn't here 4 years ago. I can't speak to that.
So then why are we gonna make a big deal about it now?
You're the only one making a big issue, ma'am.
Yeah,
Your behavior is erratic.
No, it is not erratic. Do you know how frustrated I am? Do you know that I was sitting on my computer when I was fucking locked down? And being frustrated by all the fucking Trump flags flying through? I understand that, but I am all done with
and mortgages because of the COVID. I lost my job. I had no income. I didn't get a stimulus. I didn't get a stimulus package. I didn't get none of the forgivable loans, man. I'm here for a reason.
I understand that, but you guys, all right, let me start over. I'm frustrated. Yeah, right. And now it's another round.
We're just giving voices to people who are in prison on life sentences. Well,
That don't deserve it.
Yeah, so like the reason that we're here is because there's people in prison who can't speak. Yeah, she has cameras running all the time.
But she's not even home. Like, that's my thing. Like, why? But, I mean, ever since the fucking kidnapping thing, like, she's not even here.
Yeah, but we have a thing where we've been marching for 60 days until the election. We march the streets every night and we go into a bunch of people's neighborhoods. The point is to disrupt the peace because we need justice.
You know that the people that live here, like, I mean, seriously, if you want to put your fingers on my pulse, like, it's fucking hot as hell right now. Like,
we are not a threat to you. So if you can
understand
go
that, but
home
I
and feel safe and know that, yeah. We've got tons of people here where like we look out for each other. We're like a family. We have tons of different people here all the time. That's a prisoner talking right now.
Things that you're not in the Detroit area.
We did a pet event last night, $200 for the young people, and we're trying to create a different narrative that people who are anti-fascist
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
That was Pat.
We got one more speaker. If everyone can kind of gather around in solidarity.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'll tell you why though, but this is, first of all these people are actively trained. They do security for people who work, like, at the Capitol State Reps. These are all legit people. These are not Antifa. These are not Black Militia. These are just people keeping
I
us
want to
safe.
thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to send a message to Governor Whitmer and let her know that we are just starting.
That's right. That's right.
Now, every time we stand up, they expect us to run very fast and ease up. Who all here is ready to run a long race?
Yes.
Are you ready to
Somebody's
run
talking
a
right
long
now,
race?
please.
This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. We will not phase out. We will be showing up at your meetings. We will be showing up at your town hall. We will set up protests all around this state because we have been unfairly sentenced. One thing that we all have in common, we all know somebody that is locked up who shouldn't be. Now, I'm not going to speak long. I'm about to end it right now. I want to thank everybody once again for coming out. Everybody that's hearing us, please join with us. There's strength in numbers. And like I said before, we all are affected.
That's right. All lives matter.
All lives matter. Now, this is a message to you young ones that are not in this lane. Stay out this lane. We don't want any more parents feeling the way these parents do. Be safe, be smart. The system is not made for you. Stay out the system. And thank everybody once again.
Actually, we're getting ready to well, you know what, you know where to find us? If you want to come help do some community work with us, because protesting isn't your jam, we love to do community work. We're out here not just to raise the state, we want to make that change. So definitely, if you ever want to come out, find us, locate us, either down on the street or hit us up on Facebook. And next time, if you see just don't forget, if you see people out here, sometimes there's faces that love the train, but they're not always from calm. I know they aren't, but calm, because you're going to put yourself at risk, okay? Trust me, not every group that runs them. Thank you for sharing the conversation. Appreciate it.
All by herself. But I mean, I want a soldier on my team like that. She believes in what she believes in.
Pretty interesting exchange there. One of the neighbors not happy. Ooh. One of the neighbors not happy. The protest outside of the governor's mansion. Pretty ritzy area over here. I could see some of the neighbors being that way. And they proved it. Well, one did.
Y'all, we need to make a group decision. We are going to be a little loud, but it's just so we can get out of the neighborhood. We do have the option of cramming people into cars if you don't want to walk.
If you want to walk, we're still down to walk. I will walk every step with you. I think that when we're thinking about that long march, if we do decide to march, I mean, let's really think about that march is difficult, but it's nothing compared to serving life in prison, right? It's nothing compared to getting out of that cell and walking down the same damn hallway every fucking day, knowing you have to walk back down that same row again. So I do think it's impactful to walk for us personally and to make a statement on why we walk so far, but we also want people to be healthy. And if y'all can't walk, then we will decide as a group that we can load people up.
You want to ride with me?
Do you need a potty to stop too? Yeah, we can put you in a car and stop you at a gas station. I also want to see you. Yeah, so
real bad. Everybody that knows that the bathroom.
yeah.
You didn't think that part.
Right. If we can get some folks in cars and whoever wants to march, we can march to a pit stop where there's a bathroom. And that way if folks still want to march after the MLK, there's not going to be anything. Are we going there straight up MLK? So, yeah, straight up. So let's just get a car to take us home. Just on the way to actually cars. No, yeah, I think that should be the goal, is to let's be like vehicle that we can get people to the bathroom. I can ride on top of that.
All right, everybody, that was the prison reform protest outside of the governor's mansion here. I don't know if you can see it, but here's the new fence that was erected here recently. That was the one. I think they're going to be building a more permanent one at some point. Pretty interesting. One of the neighbors was quite unhappy that there was a protest going outside of the governor's mansion, or what I like to call the people's mansion.
I have no idea. Sandra. Who's got a pee? Who's got a pee? I get in the back of the trunk of the car.
Back of the pickups available.
Are y'all walking or riding?
Everybody inside like one ride.
Okay. I'm riding too then. We can get in the back of the truck they said.
I think I'm going to ride in the back of the truck.
Okay.
Are we taking the test too?
Yeah, pretty interesting exchange there. I'm not sure what the issue was exactly. It wasn't too loud. They had a very small speaker. Like I said, this is a really ritzy neighborhood.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
I go to everything. You can
Thank
find
you.
me on Facebook if you want.
What is your name?
Kevin Live.
Kevin Live.
Yep, Kevin
Okay.
Live. Looks like that. The
Kevin
profile
Live.
picture.
Okay, I'm gonna find you on Facebook. I'm
Yep.
happy.
Okay.
What is it called?
He said
Kevin Live.
Kevin Live.
Everybody gonna ride back?
Yeah. You go right. We get in the truck.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride in the truck too.
Well, you know Maurice got to ride because he's hop along.
Yeah.
Since his motorcycle accident.
So, so how many kids have you got so far?
I don't know. Just there's 21 people watching right now.
All right.
Let me go see it.
Yeah, let's see what the.
This is my neighborhood.
All right, everybody, I'm going to end this live stream here. I'm going to bring it back up on the way back on my other page. So go over to the other Kevin Live page. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you like watching these videos, share them, like them, friend request me or follow me if you want instant notifications about any of my future live broadcasts. I got quite a few coming up here before the election and into middle of November. Again, thanks, everybody. You know, I appreciate all the love. So thank you. If anything else pops up, I'll bring it back up here on my main page. But if you want to see the way back, go to my other Kevin Live page and please follow it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.